I keep having this thought that I need to fix my money. Not in a dramatic way, not like some big life reset, just this quiet awareness that something isn't right. It usually shows up late when everything's quiet and there's nothing distracting me from it. No noise, no scrolling, no pretending. Just me and the same question I keep avoiding. How did I end up here? Because it's not just about being broke. It's what comes with it. It's knowing you're capable of more but not seeing it anywhere in your life. It's thinking about the kind of life you could have and then looking around and realizing you're nowhere near it. I've thought about it more than I like to admit. Making real money, not just enough to get by, but enough to actually change things. Not worrying about bills. Not checking your account before you do anything. Not feeling behind all the time. Being able to help your family properly. Not just small things here and there, but actually changing their situation. Not just yours. And I don't think people say this out loud. But yeah, I've thought about being a millionaire. Not in some unrealistic way. Just as a version of life that feels completely different to this. And the gap between that and where I am right now, it's not small. Because I used to think being broke was temporary. Like something that just happens when you're young or figuring things out. Like it had an expiry date, I thought eventually I'd just grow out of it. But it doesn't really work like that. At some point you stop feeling like you're on the way and start realizing you've kind of been in the same place for a while. Same thoughts, same habits, same patterns, just repeating in slightly different ways. And the uncomfortable part is, you can see it. You start noticing the decisions. Not the big ones. The small ones you keep repeating. Like saying you're going to change things, then going back to the same routine the next day. Starting something like a YouTube channel or some kind of business. Feeling like this could be the thing, and then not sticking with it long enough for anything to happen. Posting a few times, trying for a bit, then slowing down, then stopping, and telling yourself you'll come back to it. Working a job, knowing even if you do everything right, even if you get promoted, it's still not going to get you anywhere near the life you've been thinking about. Being around the same people, having the same conversations, where no one's really thinking bigger, no one's really doing anything different. Thinking about doing something that could actually change things, and then not really going all in on it. Not because you can't, but because you don't stay long enough to find out what happens if you did. And it's not even that you don't know what to do. That's the worst part. You do know. You've thought about it before. Probably more than once. But thinking about it and actually doing something about it, those are two completely different things. And most of the time, thinking is where it ends. Because it's easier. Easier to tell yourself you'll sort it out soon. That you just need the right moment. That you'll start properly when things calm down. But that moment never really comes. It just loops. And I think that's where I've been. For longer than I want to admit. Not completely stuck, but not moving either. Just aware enough to feel it, but not enough to change it. And I don't think I realized how long that had been going on. Until recently. Because I had the same thought again. I need to fix my money. But this time, it didn't feel the same. It wasn't louder. It wasn't more motivating. It didn't come with some burst of energy or clarity. It just felt harder to ignore. Like I'd run out of ways to explain it to myself. Like all the excuses started sounding the same. And for once, I actually noticed that. Not just the situation, but the pattern behind it. And I think that's what changed. Because I always thought, if I ever really tried, things would just start moving. Like if I locked in properly, but everything would click into place. Like progress would feel obvious, fast, like I'd know it was working. Like this is where the money starts changing. Like this is where things finally shift. And maybe that's why I never stayed consistent with anything. Because I was always expecting something to happen. Some kind of sign that I was on the right track. But this time, I didn't feel any of that. I just did one thing. Nothing big, nothing impressive. Just something I've been putting off for a long time. Something small enough that it almost didn't matter. But also something I kept avoiding. And I did it. And that was it. No big moment, no shift, No sudden feeling like everything was changing. Nothing. Everything still looked the same. I was still in the same place, still dealing with the same situation, still broke. And for a second, it almost felt pointless. Like, what was the point of that? If nothing changes, why does it even matter? And I think that's the part no one really sits with. When you try to level up, you expect something to happen. Even if you don't say it out loud, you expect some kind of response. Like, this is the moment things start moving. Like, this is where it begins, where the money starts shifting, where things finally feel different, but it doesn't. It's just slow. Uncomfortably slow, nothing changes at the start. And I get it now. I get why people stop here, because it feels exactly the same. You do something different, and your life doesn't reflect it. There's no feedback, no reward, no confirmation, just silence. And it messes with you, because you start questioning it. Is this even doing anything? Am I just wasting time again? And that's usually where it ends. Not because people can't change, but because they don't stay long enough to see anything from it. They leave too early. I've done that more than once. Start something, do it for a bit, feel nothing, stop, go back to what's familiar, and then end up right back here again. Thinking about the same things, telling myself the same things, repeating it. But this time, I didn't stop. Not in some dramatic way. I didn't suddenly become disciplined. I didn't wake up different. I just did it again. The next day. And even that felt strange, because there was still no result, still no visible change, still no sign that anything was working, just the same slow, almost invisible effort. And that's when it hit me. Maybe leveling up isn't what I thought it was. Maybe it's not this big moment where everything shifts overnight. Maybe it's not visible at all in the beginning. Maybe it's just not skipping the thing you said you'd do. Today, not forever, not perfectly, just today. And maybe again tomorrow. That's it, and it sounds small. Almost too small to matter. But I think that's the point. Because I've been waiting for something bigger. Something that feels like progress. Something that proves I'm moving. Something that finally starts closing that gap between where I am and the life I keep thinking about. But maybe this is what it actually looks like. Not exciting, not fast, not obvious, just different. And I think about money differently now, because I used to think if I ever really tried, I'd make it work quickly, like I'd finally figure it out, and things would just start building. Like I'd go from where I am now to something completely different, faster than I expected. Like I'd finally get it. Like I'd finally become that version of myself. The one that isn't stressed about money. The one that actually made it work. The one that changed things. But maybe that's not how it happens. Maybe the reason most people don't get there isn't because they can't. It's because they don't stay long enough. Through the part where nothing happens. Through the part where it still feels the same. Through the part where it looks like it's not working. That's where most people stop. And I've stopped there before. A lot of times. At that exact point, where it's quiet, where it's slow, where it still feels the same, and every time, I told myself I'd come back to it later. But I never really did, and I think that's why I stayed where I was. Not because I couldn't change anything, but because I kept leaving too early, before anything had the chance to become something. And I don't know. Something about this time feels different. Not in a big way. Nothing around me has changed. But I didn't stop. And I didn't expect anything to happen either. I just kept going. One more time than I usually would. And maybe that's all this is. Not a breakthrough, not a transformation, just a small shift that I didn't ignore this time. And I don't know what this turns into. I don't know how far it goes. But I know where it usually ends. And this time, I didn't end it there. I think this is where most people stop. When it's slow. When nothing changes. When it still feels exactly the same. I've stopped here before, but this time feels different. Not because everything changed, but because I didn't. And I don't think I'm going to this time. I don't know how long it takes. But I know if I keep showing up like this, I'm going to level up.